Chapter 6. Mrs. Jansen ran to the bag and opened it. "It's my bag," she said. "My camera's still in it." Mrs. Jansen picked up the bag. "I'm so glad you found this," she said. Cam looked in the canvas bag. Then she looked into the store entranceway. "This is a real mystery," she said. "There's no mystery," her mother told her. "I have my camera back."
"But why did the thief steal it and then leave it here?"
Cam asked. "This is an old video camera," Mrs. Jansen answered as they walked. "Maybe he wanted a newer model." Eric said,
"Maybe he was afraid he would get caught." "We did catch him," Cam said. "But because he no longer had the camera, the police let him go."
Mrs. Jansen said, "They were right to let him go. He isn't really a thief. Since I have my camera back, he didn't really steal it. He just borrowed my camera." Mrs. Jansen held the yellow bag very close as they walked along 4th Avenue to the museum.
"I remember something you said,"
Eric told Cam's mother as they walked.
"And it proves that Cam stopped the real thief. You told the police your camera was in a large canvas bag."
"It is," Mrs. Jansen said. Eric went on.
"But the thief said, 'I don't have any camera and I don't have any yellow bag.' How did he know the bag is yellow?" "You're right," Cam said. "He could only have known the bag is yellow if he took it." "And you're right too," Eric said. "He was the thief."
Mrs. Jansen said, "And now I'm right. If nothing was stolen, there was no thief." There was a long line of people waiting to see the Matisse exhibit. Mrs. Jansen checked the canvas bag in the coat room. Then Cam, Eric, and Mrs. Jansen went to the end of the line. While they waited, Mrs. Jansen pointed to a large poster. It had a shape that looked like a wolf's head against a bright purple, blue, green, and orange background. Under it were the dates of the Matisse exhibit. "Isn't that beautiful?" Mrs. Jansen asked.
"It's very nice,"
Cam said, but she wasn't really looking at the poster. She was still thinking about the borrowed camera. When they entered the exhibit hall, Mrs. Jansen pointed to one of the paintings.
"Isn't that beautiful?"
she asked.
"It's very nice,"
Cam said. Eric said,
"I think this picture is a little scary. Those shapes look like lizards."
Cam whispered to Eric,
"We know who took the camera, but we don't know why."
Eric whispered back,
"Your mother is right. Nothing was really stolen. Let's just forget it."
They all walked to another room in the museum. Mrs. Jansen pointed to another painting.
"These shapes are beautiful, not scary,"
Eric said.
"It's very nice,"
Cam said, without even looking at the painting. She was still thinking about the camera. Mrs. Jansen stopped in front of the paintings and looked carefully at each one. Eric looked too. He told Cam he especially liked one of the paintings. Without looking, Cam said again,
"It's very nice."
On their way to the next room, they passed through a wide hall. There were water fountains, public telephones, and framed posters in the hall.
"Oh my, look at that picture,"
Eric said. He pointed to a poster.
"It should be called Dragons, Lizards, and a Horse."
"Look over there," Mrs. Jansen said, and pointed. She was pointing to a blank white wall. "I think it's the nicest painting in the exhibit. What do you think?" she asked Cam.
"It's very nice."
Eric and Mrs. Jansen laughed.
"What's so funny?"
Cam asked.
I said it's very nice.
Cam's mother told her to look at what she said was very nice. Cam looked up. She stared at the wall. Then she said very slowly,
There's no picture.
It was a joke, her mother told her.
There's no picture,
Cam said again.
Now look over here at a picture I like,
Eric said, and pointed to the left.
Do you see all the dragons?
This time Cam did look. She pointed to a long curved yellow line that ran across the picture.
And that looks like a yellow snake,
Cam said slowly. Cam looked away from the wall.
There's no picture, and there's a snake picture,
Cam said.
There's no picture, and there's a snake picture,
she said again and closed her eyes. Cam was thinking. Mrs. Jansen and Eric stood by Cam and waited.
No picture and a snake picture,
Cam said to herself. Then she opened her eyes and looked at her mother and Eric.
That blank wall and the snake picture gave me the answer. I think I solved the mystery.
Chapter 7.
Do you know why the thief took the camera and then left it in that doorway?
Eric asked.
Did he change his mind? Did he know we were following him? Did he get scared?
He didn't change his mind, Cam said, and he wasn't scared.
Then what happened?
Eric asked.
Before I tell you,
Cam said,
we have to get the camera back. I have to see if I'm right.
Mrs. Jansen said, We'd have to go to the coat room to get the camera, and there are still some paintings we haven't seen.
Please, Mom?
Can't you just tell us what you think happened? Mrs. Jansen asked Cam. Cam shook her head.
I want to be sure I'm right.
Oh my, Mrs. Jansen said. We came here to see beautiful art, not to solve mysteries. But I do want to know why he took the camera and left it. Mrs. Jansen thought for a moment. Then she said, We'll walk quickly through the rest of the show. Then I'll get my camera and you can tell us why that man borrowed it. Mrs. Jansen quickly led Cam and Eric to the next room. Cam looked at a painting and said,
Henry Matisse was a great artist. I like looking at his paintings. I just like solving mysteries more.
Mrs. Jansen stopped for a moment in the last room. She smiled and said, I could just stay here forever.
I hope she isn't serious,
Cam whispered to Eric. I heard that, Mrs. Jansen said. And we can go now. Mrs. Jansen gave the man in the coat room her claim ticket. He gave her the yellow canvas bag. Cam told her mother,
Now take a movie of me.
Not in here, Mrs. Jansen said. It's too dark. I'll do it outside. They went to the sculpture garden. Mrs. Jansen took the camera out of the yellow bag. Smile, she said as she looked through the camera and pressed a button. Mrs. Jansen pressed the button again. Hey, she said, it doesn't work. Eric said,
The thief broke the camera. No, he didn't,
Cam said.
If you open it, you'll know what he stole.
Mrs. Jansen pressed a button. The side of the camera popped open. The videotape is gone, Mrs. Jansen said. He stole the tape.
He can film over it,
Eric said.
He'll use it in his own camera.
I have such wonderful things on that tape, Mrs. Jansen said. I have pictures of Dad's surprise birthday party and of both of you swimming in the lake.
The Matisse snake pictures gave me the answer," Cam said. "You looked at Scaly through the camera when it was still running. You took a video of Scaly scaring that man."
Mrs. Jansen asked, "Why would he want pictures of a snake?"
"He's planning to sell it," Cam explained. "He wants to win the News Scoop contest. The local TV station will pay a lot of money for any film they use,"
Eric said.
"The thief heard Cam when she said that the red light was still on. That's why he followed us and took the camera." "He got rid of the camera because he was afraid he might get caught," Cam explained. "And he did get caught. But without the camera, the police let him go."
"If there's a prize for that tape," Mrs. Jansen said, "we should get it and not some thief. I would also love to get back the pictures of Dad's surprise party and of you at the lake." Mrs. Jansen went into the museum again. In the front lobby were public telephones and a large telephone book. She looked through the book. "Here's the number of the local television station," she said. "Cam, please keep your finger right here." Mrs. Jansen took a handful of coins from her purse. She looked at the number Cam was pointing to and dialed the telephone. "Hello?" "Yes, I'll wait." Mrs. Jansen waited. "Hello? Yes, I'm still waiting." Mrs. Jansen waited some more. Then she said, "I want to speak with someone about the News Scoop contest." "Yes, I'll wait." She waited again. Mrs. Jansen finally had a chance to explain what had happened to the tape. Then she listened for a while. She said thank you and hung up the telephone. "She didn't help me," Mrs. Jansen told Cam and Eric. "She said she didn't see any snake tape, and whatever tapes they do have belong to the television station." Mrs. Jansen looked at Cam and Eric. "I may not have the tape," she said, "and we may not get the prize money. But I still have Dad and you, and that's more important. I'll just buy a new tape and take new movies." Chapter 8. Eric went home with Cam and her mother. Before dinner, Cam and Eric sat on the floor of the living room and played a board game. Mr. and Mrs. Jansen watched the news on television. "Today was a beautiful day," the newscaster said near the end of the program. "It was sunny and warm. It was a great day to take your pet outside. Let's look at someone who took her pet outside and someone who wasn't very happy about it. It's today's News Scoop winner." Cam and Eric looked up. A newswoman in a red jacket was smiling. Then on the TV screen was a picture of Scaly. His tongue darted out toward the man's sandwich. "That's my tape," Mrs. Jansen said. "It won today's News Scoop contest. I'm going right to the television station and tell them that I took that video." "I don't think they'll give you back your tape," Mr. Jansen said. "But if you're going to the television station, I'll go with you."
"Then Eric and I have to go too," Cam said. "We're too young to stay home alone."
In the car, Mrs. Jansen said she deserved the News Scoop prize. Mr. Jansen said he didn't think she would get the prize money. At the television station, Mrs. Jansen told the man sitting behind the front desk, "You showed my tape tonight. I'm tonight's News Scoop winner." "Then you'll get a check for the prize money in the mail," the man said. "Oh, no, you don't understand," Mrs. Jansen said. She began to tell him all about the stolen camera and the museum and Cam's photographic memory. The man waved his hand. He asked Mrs. Jansen to stop and please sit down. Then he picked up a telephone and asked for someone to come to the lobby. Cam, Eric, and Cam's parents sat on a long couch and waited. Then a woman in a red jacket came out. She was the newswoman they had seen on TV. She smiled. "Hello, my name is Penny Kelly. Please follow me to my office." Cam, Eric, and Cam's parents walked with Penny Kelly past a large window next to a closed door. On the other side of the window was a studio. Above the door was a sign, "Quiet, on the air." Penny Kelly led them to a small office. The desk was covered with papers. "You said the snake tape is yours?" Penny Kelly said. "It's not. It's ours. We bought it this afternoon from a young man." "He didn't take that video," Mrs. Jansen said. "I did." Cam closed her eyes and said, "Click." Then, with her eyes still closed, she asked,
Was the young man wearing jeans and a blue sweatshirt? Does he have brown curly hair, brown eyes, and about 20 freckles on his nose? Was there an ink stain near the left pocket of his jeans?
"I didn't count his freckles, and I didn't check if his jeans were clean," Penny Kelly said. "But everything else sounds right."
"He's a thief,"
Mrs. Jansen told Penny Kelly. "He stole that tape." "I'm sorry, but he came here and sold it to us. Unless you can prove it's yours, there's nothing I can do." Mrs. Jansen frowned. "I can't prove it's mine," she said. "It just is." "I'm sorry," Penny Kelly said again. She led everyone out of her office. They walked through the hall toward the exit. They were right outside the studio when Cam's father said, "I'm not surprised. I didn't think they would give you the prize."
"You're not surprised," Cam said. "Surprised! That's it! I can prove it's our tape."
Penny Kelly pointed to the "Quiet, on the air" sign. "How can you prove it?" she whispered.
"Earlier on the tape," Cam said, "are pictures of us shouting, 'Surprise!'"
"It was at a party for my birthday," Mr. Jansen whispered.
"Just rewind the tape,"
Cam told Penny Kelly.
"You'll see it's ours."
They all went back to the office. Penny Kelly took a tape off her desk. She put it in the VCR and pressed the rewind button. She turned on the TV behind her desk and pressed the play button. On the screen was a picture of a large platter of small sandwiches. "That's the party, and those are egg salad sandwiches," Mrs. Jansen said. "They were delicious." "Surprise!" people shouted. There was a picture of a very surprised Mr. Jansen. "This is your tape," Penny Kelly said. She took it out of the machine and gave it to Mrs. Jansen. "It's too bad the thief got away," Mr. Jansen said. "He got our new scoop prize money." "No, he didn't," Penny Kelly said. She took a book off her desk. "I have his name and address right here. We were going to send him a check to pay for the tape. Now I'll give his name to the security office. They may have him arrested." Mrs. Jansen looked at the name. Next to it was a number. "Wow! Is that how much you were going to pay him?" Penny Kelly said, "Yes. Now we'll send the check to you." Mrs. Jansen wrote their address in the book. Cam's mother shook Penny Kelly's hand and thanked her. Mr. Jansen thanked her too. Mrs. Jansen said, "Let's go home now. I'm hungry." "I'm too tired to cook," Mr. Jansen said. Then he smiled. "You just won the new scoop prize, so let's all go to a restaurant and celebrate." "A restaurant?" Mrs. Jansen said. She smiled too. Cam looked at her smiling parents. She blinked her eyes and said, "Click."
Let's listen the interesting conversation part carefully and ready to repeat. Pages 30 to 31.
At the police station, Mrs. Jansen told Cam and Eric to sit on one of the benches. She went to the front desk. The officer there asked her some questions, and he filled out a report. When she was done, she told Cam and Eric, "We're going to the museum now. Don't run ahead and don't chase after people. Stay with me." Cam, Eric, and Mrs. Jansen walked down Lincoln Avenue. "I'm not going to let a stolen camera ruin our day," Mrs. Jansen said. "It's gone, and that's it." Mrs. Jansen walked slowly. She stopped often to show Cam and Eric important buildings and to look in store windows. Mrs. Jansen told the children what they would see at the museum. "Henry Matisse painted in bright, bold colors. You'll love his work." They reached 4th Avenue and turned. Cam told Eric,
"This is where I first saw the man again."
They came to a store with big signs taped in the windows. "Closed. Out of business." Cam said,
"The man was coming out of this store."
The store had 2 large front windows.
Let's listen to the part again and repeat loudly.
At the police station, Mrs. Jansen told Cam and Eric to sit on one of the benches. She went to the front desk. The officer there asked her some questions, and he filled out a report. When she was done, she told Cam and Eric, "We're going to the museum now. Don't run ahead and don't chase after people. Stay with me." Cam, Eric, and Mrs. Jansen walked down Lincoln Avenue. "I'm not going to let a stolen camera ruin our day." Mrs. Jansen said. "It's gone, and that's it." Mrs. Jansen walked slowly. She stopped often to show Cam and Eric important buildings and to look in store windows. Mrs. Jansen told the children what they would see at the museum. Henry Matisse painted in bright, bold colors. You'll love his work. They reached 4th Avenue and turned. Cam told Eric,
"This is where I first saw the man again."
They came to a store with big signs taped in the windows. Closed. Out of business. Cam said,
"The man was coming out of this store."
The store had 2 large front windows.
Now it's shadow reading time. Speak with native speaker at the same time.
At the police station, Mrs. Jansen told Cam and Eric to sit on one of the benches. She went to the front desk. The officer there asked her some questions, and he filled out a report. When she was done, she told Cam and Eric, "We're going to the museum now. Don't run ahead and don't chase after people. Stay with me." Cam, Eric, and Mrs. Jansen walked down Lincoln Avenue. "I'm not going to let a stolen camera ruin our day," Mrs. Jansen said. "It's gone, and that's it." Mrs. Jansen walked slowly. She stopped often to show Cam and Eric important buildings and to look in store windows. Mrs. Jansen told the children what they would see at the museum. "Henry Matisse painted in bright, bold colors. You'll love his work." They reached 4th Avenue and turned. Cam told Eric,
"This is where I first saw the man again."
They came to a store with big signs taped in the windows. "Closed. Out of business." Cam said,
"The man was coming out of this store."
The store had 2 large front windows.